All right. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing you today, I wanted to do a few videos like this. This video is going to cover changes that I think could be implemented into Cyrodiil to make Cyrodiil a better and more fun environment. It's my belief that, anybody can post videos talking and complaining about, where the game is or where the game's at and where it should be, or why it could be better. But I don't like talking about problems without providing my solutions, my potential solutions, because at some point you're just bitching if all you're doing is complaining. So here are my solutions, or here are my ideas to improve PvP and make PvP a better environment. First of all, number 5, no brainer. Cyrodiil performance. I've talked about it on quite a few videos now. I don't need to go into it any farther. Cyrodiil performance needs to be better. If the performance of Cyrodiil improves, the game will improve, the population will come back in full force. PvP will be a lot more fun of an environment. You won't die to stupid shit like lag, not being able to weapon swap, all these other things. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to get into the more fun stuff. Number 4, better rewards of the worthy. If we look at the gear sets of that are available in PvP, they come fast and furious. They come really quickly, and it's really easy to just flood the market with PvP sets. Now, I know not every set's supposed to be competitive and viable, but there are sets like Indomitable Fury, Soldier of Anguish. There's multiple tank sets out there like Beckoning Steel. There's a lot of PvP sets that could be improved to be more enjoyable or more playable in a PvP environment. And I think if they went out there and they addressed Cyrodiil sets and provided more viability for them, while also not making them, maybe so easy to get, and making, flooding the market with them and making basically like collecting inventory is kind of a waste at some point. Like you PvP so much, I just delete inventory. It's a lot less of a hassle than deconstructing everything. You could also provide more motifs. I mean, they came out with the Gladiator helmet, they came out with the Gladiator costume, for PvPing and doing quests. Do more stuff like that. Start to slowly incorporate, maybe more motifs. You could do more motifs, you could do more costumes, you could do stuff like that. I think that'd be really good. Get more people into PvP. You could do more PvP materials, more stuff for people to trade alliance points for. Essentially, like, you're incentivizing people to want to come in PvP because you're giving them stuff with value. And then these are going to be the more interesting ones, I guess. Number 3, change the scoring system for PvP. Now, I'm not saying that the scoring system is bad. For you longtime players, at one point you got way more, you got a lot more alliance points for being in a large group than you did solo, so they adjusted it. You got a lot more points for defending than you did attacking. And at some points on Xbox, if you guys remember back in the day, in the old Hatteras days, AD used to faction lock Bleakers because DC and EP used to come to Bleakers, and all of AD would sit there and they would just get defensive ticks. They didn't care about the campaign. All they did was defend. And so ZeniMax came out with a good decision, and they changed AP, and they provided a lot more incentive for taking keeps and going offensive than defending. And I think it's made it a more fun environment. Now, with that being said, it doesn't go without its own sorts of issues, and we're always going to have these, and that's why, like, I think we need to tread the line with these sorts of things. But the way it currently is, you incentivize people to take empty keeps over fighting in battles. And so, as an example, like, let's say I want to run an 8-man group, right? And I want to impact the map. Well, I could fight 2 or 3 people, and I could get 1 or 2k AP off of them, or I could go siege an empty keep, and I could get 6k AP. And so you will often see a bunch of, large groups of players, quote unquote, playing the objective, and they are. They're absolutely playing the objective by being offensive and going to take keeps. But they're so invested in taking the objective. If you guys go back and you look at a lot of my clips, they just stand on a ramp You know, it'll be like 20 people stacked on a ramp, spamming heals. They got shield bubble, they got healing springs. They got barriers. They don't care about fighting. They care about taking the keep, flipping the keep, and then moving on to the next one. And they don't care if it gets flipped back. If it gets flipped back, then they get another 6k AP just to take it back all over again. So I do think the way AP is currently stacked, it's a little bit skewed in the offensive direction. And so what I would like to see is you get more AP per kill. I'm okay with people getting 6k AP per offensive take, but maybe instead of getting 1,500 AP per kill, you get 2,500. You know, maybe you get 3,500, 3,000, you know, something like that. Incentivize people in PvP to actually play PvP, you know. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think Xbox is the only way for this. I'm very confident that there are multiple PC groups that also PV door. I'm sure there's a lot of PS4 groups that all they do is PV door, and you'll just see them take the outskirts of keeps and they just run around from keep to keep. And if you kill them, they set up camp and then they go to the next empty keep. And you're just literally chasing around a 24-man trying to get PvP. You're trying to fight and they're trying to take keeps. And you know, it's a little frustrating, and I think just that one little change would make it a lot better. Number 2, reduce the campaign duration to 1 week. 30-day campaigns are too long. More often than not, over the last year, 30-day campaigns are decided within 2 weeks of the campaign. You know, some campaign or some faction has such a huge lead after 2 weeks that the last 2 weeks are a huge pain in the ass. Because here's what happens in PvP all the time. Everybody's a front runner, okay? So if EP's leading the campaign and they have most of the map, if you're a casual PvPer, you're more inclined to hop into PvP because you're going to win. You're going to take keeps because you have Emperor, because you have all these things, and you're going to have more people on EP playing. Me, as you guys know on Xbox, I play Daggerfall. Daggerfall has won the last 4 months, and the last 2 weeks have been garbage. Every 30-day campaign, the last 2 weeks have not been fun because the casual DC players hop on and they're like, sweet, we can go take keeps, we can go do this, we're winning, we're fighting, yada, yada, yada. And AD and EP, rightfully so, they don't have any fun at those points, so they just don't PvP. And it gets really annoying when all of a sudden you go to take a resource at one of your home keeps and you get met by 24 of the leading faction and they run you down. And it's not enjoyable. So my, preference would be to adjust it, make it a 7-day campaign, and you then allow people to be able to faction lock or faction switch really quickly. So if you have 1 week, it's going to be fast. It's going to be, fast-paced, incentivized PvP for a week, and then people know, like, come Saturday, Sunday, like, wow, the faction lock is going to change. Like, I can switch on to EP if I didn't like this week of playing on DC. I get a gear up for EMP. Instead of waiting 2 weeks, I now get to I only have to wait 2 days. And that's going to keep people more invested in PvP by making the 30-day campaigns 7-day. Because instead of this big downtime, you only have that short turnaround of maybe 1 or 2 days instead of 2 weeks. So that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on it, but I do think the 30-day campaign is just a little too long for that reason. And then finally, we got to talk about Volendrung. Number 1 is Volendrung. It's a great idea. I honestly love the idea of having a random weapon drop. I'm excited to see what other weapons that they drop in the future. The implementation of it right now is not ideal. They talked about Volendrung as a counter to EMP. Volendrung was supposed to be, hey, like, we now have a weapon that can counteract EMP. And the problem with that is the EMP faction can pick up Volendrung. And so you pick up the weapon and you're like, cool, I can finally fight EMP faction, let's go. Well, if EMP takes the weapon, they now have EMP plus the weapon. And it's literally like 2 EMPs running around. And it's fucking crazy. And it doesn't matter who does it. That campaign with good players, with either Emperor and Volendrung, or if they're both good players, they're going to absolutely crush the map. That's just the way it is. And so what I would like to see is the easy switch of providing a rule that says if your faction has Emp, your team cannot pick up Volendrung. You know, you basically treat it like a scroll that you can't pick up. It sits in an area. Other teams can attempt to try to pick it up. Emp faction can defend it. They can, you know, they can do whatever they can to stop people from picking it up, but they can't pick it up and then use it on the other factions. I think it. I think the idea, like I said, the idea of having a weapon to counter Emp is great, but it doesn't counter Emp if Emp has the Emperor and the weapon. And I've said it a few times now, so I'm going to stop here. But I think that little switch makes Volendrung a lot more interesting. I think it makes it a lot more competitive. You know, if you have EP and, like, let's say DC has Volendrung and they have Emperor, well, now Emperor has to decide, well, do I go defend my home keeps, or do I stop this weapon from being picked up by another faction? Because at some point they're going to have to address the weapon. And so you give them another thing to defend. And I think that opens some fun strategy. I think it, you know, currently, anytime the weapon's up, you see all factions running towards the weapon because it's so powerful. And so in that way, you know, the idea of PvP is to get people to spread out, and it hasn't really done that. You know, like, you don't have to play... You don't have to do the weapon. You could do other things to incentivize PvP. You could do some outside things, and maybe I'll talk about those more in another video. But I wanted to kind of leave it at this. I wanted to leave it at these 5. You know, if you guys disagree with me, let me know what you think. You know, if you guys like that Volendrung gets the, or Emp gets the weapon, if you guys, you know, think where AP is, you know, provide me your examples of why it's okay, and then tell me where you would think PvP would be improved. I will be doing a few videos like this. I want to do Battlegrounds as well. I want to do Dueling, and I want to do Imperial City. So this will probably be the first of a 4-part series on this. So like I said, guys, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.